Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to AI Hub. I'm Larry.
And I'm Amanda. I'll be your AI guide today.
Today we're taking a deep dive into how AI is really transforming fraud.
For better or for worse, it's impacting both sides.
You know, those trying to pull it off, and of course those trying to stop it.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it. 7 out of 10 people have been victims of fraud at least once.
Yeah, I saw that stat too, and it's wild. Almost 40% of people in that SAS survey actually said they've been hit by fraud multiple times.
Wow, that's alarming. It really makes you realize how important it is to understand AI's role in all this.
Yeah, and that's especially true during International Fraud Awareness Week.
It's a great time to focus on anti-fraud, being prepared and knowing what to watch out for.
I think the sense of urgency is definitely there. I mean, a huge 83% of anti-fraud professionals believe that generative AIs can be a tool criminals can't live without in the next 2 years.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be essential for them.
Which means that the people fighting fraud are in this constant race to stay one step ahead.
Always trying to keep up.
They're adopting the same AI tools that criminals are using.
But it's not easy for them.
It's a tricky situation, right? They've got to deal with ethical questions and all these regulations on top of just trying to keep pace with the technology.
Absolutely. It's a constant balancing act.
It's almost like, it's a high-stakes chess match.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Both sides are using AI to make their move.
Exactly. Criminals are using it to create really sophisticated scams and even things like deepfakes to trick people.
Which is scary. Those are so convincing these days.
They are. It's incredible. And on the other side, you've got the good guys, anti-fraud teams, using AI to try and spot those scams right away, predict where they might pop up next.
And find anything that just seems off.
Yeah, anything out of the ordinary.
Did you see any interesting examples of this in our research?
Oh, tons. Techcom Bank in Vietnam. They're doing some pretty cool stuff, using AI to fight fraud in their digital banking.
That's a big problem these days.
It is, but they're having some success. They've managed to block, 50% of the attacks they've found.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It is. And then there's Qualitas MX. They're a big auto insurer down in Mexico.
Okay, what are they doing?
Well, they're using AI to speed up legitimate claims so their customers have a better experience.
Makes sense. Everybody wants things to move faster.
Right. But at the same time, they're using AI to flag suspicious activity and try to prevent fraud.
So it's a win-win for them.
Exactly. Better for the customer and better for their bottom line.
And then what about Nets? They're that big payments company. I think they're in Europe.
Yep, they're handling payments for over 740,000 businesses.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Right. And they're using AI to protect millions of consumers across Europe, making sure those transactions are safe.
You know what all these examples really highlight is just how quickly everything's changing.
The landscape is constantly shifting.
It's incredible these organizations are constantly having to update their AI models.
Because the criminals are always coming up with new tricks.
It's never ending.
Right. But it's not just about, the tech keeping up with the latest AI. It's also about using it the right way.
Especially when you're dealing with people's sensitive data.
Absolutely. Responsibility is key.
You got to think about data privacy and make sure everything's compliant.
It's a challenge, finding that balance between keeping people safe and protecting their information.
Yeah, no easy answers there.
Not at all, but it's a conversation we need to keep having.
Speaking of keeping things safe, I'm curious about how governments are using AI to prevent fraud.
Yeah, that's a really interesting area.
Governments have a huge responsibility to protect their citizens, right?
Right, absolutely. And to make sure everyone's playing by the rules.
And AI can be a really powerful tool to help them do that.
Definitely. We learned about the Malta Tax and Customs Administration. They're using AI to catch people evading taxes.
Oh, wow. So making sure everyone pays their fair share.
Exactly.
That's pretty fascinating. Imagine the potential for, improving tax collection and government services with AI.
It's huge. AI can analyze massive amounts of data, way more than humans could ever handle.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Right. And it can spot those patterns that might indicate someone's trying to cheat the system.
So we're seeing AI being used on both sides of this, the criminals and the people fighting them.
It really is. It's like this double-edged sword.
Absolutely. It can be used for good, like we've seen with these examples.
But it can also be a really powerful weapon in the wrong hands.
And as AI keeps getting more advanced,
It's only going to get more powerful.
we're going to see even more applications on both sides, I guess.
It's a little bit unsettling, but it's also really exciting to think about.
It makes you wonder, what other ways might we see AI used to prevent and detect fraud in the future?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves.
And it's one we'll continue to explore as AI evolves. It's a fascinating topic for sure.
Definitely is.
We'll be right back to talk more about how AI is impacting the fight against fraud.
Looking forward to it.
It's crazy how quickly things are changing in the fraud world.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, really.
Just a few years ago, we weren't even talking about things like deepfakes
Or generative AI.
being used in scams.
Right, it's amazing how fast it's evolved.
And it feels like we're constantly hearing about new types of fraud, new threats.
It's true, criminals are always on the lookout for ways to exploit new tech,
Yeah, the early adopters.
But on the bright side, the good guys are stepping up their game too.
Oh, definitely.
We're seeing more and more AI-powered solutions coming out to protect people and businesses.
From those increasingly complex schemes.
It's like an arms race, in a way.
Totally. But going back to those stats we mentioned earlier, 7 out of 10 people experiencing fraud
Yeah, that's a huge number.
really drives home the point that this isn't some, distant problem.
It's not something that's just happening to other people.
It affects almost all of us in one way or another.
And that's why things like International Fraud Awareness Week are so important.
I agree, 100%.
We need to raise awareness, educate people about the risks.
Make sure they know how to protect themselves.
It's a team effort.
Totally. And I think it's important to remember that fraud isn't just about losing money.
That's a good point. There's a human cost, too.
It can be really stressful for victims, upsetting,
Absolutely. It can hurt their credit scores.
even make them feel vulnerable, insecure.
There's a ripple effect. It goes way beyond just the financial impact.
Exactly. And I think that brings us to the ethical side of using AI to fight fraud,
We have to make sure we're using these tools responsibly.
with people's well-being in mind.
We want to harness the power of AI for good, but we can't do it at the expense of individual rights.
Right. Or by making existing inequalities even worse.
That's crucial. We can't just blindly implement technology without thinking about the consequences.
Our research did show some encouraging examples, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Companies like Qualitas MX, they're demonstrating that AI can actually improve customer experience while also fighting fraud.
They're proving that it's possible.
It's a win-win.
They're using AI to make legitimate claims faster, more efficient, so their customers are happy.
And at the same time, they're using AI to beef up their security and catch the bad guys.
It's a great example of how AI can be used to benefit everyone.
And this idea of building trust with customers, it came up a lot in our reading.
It makes sense.
If people don't trust the systems that are supposed to protect them,
The systems aren't going to work.
right, you need that buy-in. That trust is paramount.
And you earn that trust by being transparent about how you're using AI.
Making ethical considerations a top priority at every stage.
Yeah, ethics can't be an afterthought. It has to be baked into the process from the very beginning.
We've talked a lot about how the private sector is using AI to fight fraud, but what about governments?
That's a great question. What kind of impact is AI having there?
Governments have this huge responsibility to protect citizens,
Absolutely. Make sure everyone's playing by the rules.
and AI could be a really powerful tool to help them do that.
Like with the Multitax and Customs Administration, they're using AI to find people who are evading taxes.
So ensuring that everyone contributes their fair share.
It's amazing to think about the potential there.
Imagine AI going through mountains of data, finding those little patterns.
Anomalies that could point to tax evasion.
It can help authorities decide where to focus their efforts.
Exactly. It's all about making the system more efficient, more equitable.
And it's not just about catching people who are deliberately trying to cheat. AI can also help find unintentional errors.
Yeah, make sure individuals and businesses understand what they owe.
Provide some guidance, some clarity.
Absolutely. It's not just about enforcement, it's about education too.
It's pretty incredible how AI is changing so many parts of our lives, from banking and shopping to, the way governments operate.
AI is everywhere these days.
It's a truly transformative technology. But as we've seen, it can be used for good or for bad.
That double-edged sword we keep talking about.
It's powerful, but we have to be careful with it.
We need to be mindful of the potential risks.
It's all about finding that balance, using the power of AI for good without sacrificing our values.
For our security.
We need to have an ongoing conversation about AI involving everyone, tech experts, policymakers,
Ethicists, everyday citizens.
everyone needs to be part of the discussion.
It's a future that's full of incredible promise, but also some big challenges.
And we all have a role to play in making sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically for the benefit of everyone.
We need to be proactive, informed,
And engaged.
absolutely.
It's really amazing to think about how AI is being used by governments to combat fraud,
Oh, yeah, they have a big responsibility.
to protect their citizens.
Make sure things are fair.
And AI can be a powerful tool.
Oh, absolutely. To help them achieve those goals.
We saw that great example, the Malta Tax and Customs Administration.
Yeah, they're using AI to make sure everyone is paying their taxes.
Nobody's getting away with anything.
Dodging their responsibility.
It's incredible to think about all the possibilities.
It really is.
Imagine AI going through mountains of data, finding these subtle little clues.
Looking for those patterns.
That might indicate tax evasion.
Yeah, it can help authorities be so much more efficient.
Effective, too.
Absolutely.
And, it's not just about catching people who are deliberately trying to cheat.
That's right. AI can also help people avoid mistakes.
Make sure they understand their obligations.
Give them some guidance, some clarity.
It's like having a super smart assistant.
Yeah, making sure everything runs smoothly.
AI can help governments ensure fairness, efficiency across the board.
It's a really exciting development.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive,
It's been a whirlwind.
from how criminals are using AI to commit fraud.
To how organizations and governments are using it to fight back.
It's a constantly evolving landscape. It's clear that AI is going to play an even bigger role in the future
Oh, absolutely.
of fraud prevention and detection.
No doubt about it.
I think the key takeaway here is that AI is incredibly powerful.
It really is.
It has the potential for both good and bad.
That double-edged sword.
We keep coming back to
It's up to all of us to ensure that it's developed and used responsibly.
ethically for the benefit of everyone.
That's a great point.
This has been a fascinating exploration
It really has.
into this world of AI and fraud,
It's complex, it's ever-changing.
full of challenges, but also opportunities.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to explore these topics with you.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI and fraud. We hope you found it insightful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to AI Hub for more explorations of the fascinating world of AI. We'll catch you next time.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.